There are some foreclosure auction myths that we seriously need to debunk. Hi, my name's Kevin. I'm half of Two Guys Take on Real Estate. And today I want to talk to you about a few things that, well, I know a lot about. And that is going to foreclosure auctions and helping you learn how to be successful in that process. So today, one of the first things I want to jump into is the allure of a foreclosure auction. And to be honest, that's probably one of the things that I didn't think needed to be discussed that much. I honestly assumed for all of our followers, this was a general understanding that people would always want to go to a foreclosure auction, buy a house at a crazy discount, fix it up, and then turn it around and sell it, rent it, live in it, whatever. And that was a cheap way to get into real estate. I had no idea that that wasn't as prevalent of an understanding, I guess as it is. So let's talk about that a little bit. And really, I want to talk about really the promise of massive savings and the ability to do a quick flip, because that is something that I thought was just super well known. When you go to a foreclosure auction, you have an opportunity, as we always say it, to buy a house at half price. You could be getting a crazy, crazy discount on an amazing property or a property that needs a lot of rehab. But if you learn how to do this kind of stuff, if you've been with us for a bit, you learn how to analyze each deal and come up with a bidding number that makes sense for what you're looking to do. So not every property at an auction is going to be an amazing deal. That's fine, but it needs to be an amazing deal for you and your needs and your usage for it. So how do you do that? How do you get, a property that's an absolute steal of a deal at an auction? Well, the first thing is to learn about them. And then the second thing is to actually go to these things. Now, if you've read our book, one of the chapters in it, we talk about it, is how we basically stole a house at half price. No, not even half price, at $200 for a two-family home in Massachusetts, of all places. And you can do this kind of stuff too. Now, that was a home run. That was a lightning strike that may not happen again for a very long time. But these are the kind of things that can happen if you're into the game and playing along with this stuff. So stick around. Let's learn together about how you can make massive wealth and have amazing success if you're doing things the right way at a foreclosure auction. So what are the warning signs that you're about to get into a horrible situation at a foreclosure auction? So there's going to be, a number of things that could go wrong. There's going to be some unexpected expenses. There's going to be potentially some hidden costs. One of these big things that you're going to want to look out for is going to be the conditions of the property. You need to learn a little bit about how to analyze the property, look at the structure of it, look and see if there's what kind of renovation budget you need to put together. And then also, what other kind of hidden maybe legal expenses or obstacles are you walking into? Don't forget, a foreclosure house could be occupied, it could be vacant, it could be completely vacant, and then somebody decides to claim that they've lived there, and you have that legal obligation to clear that all up. Biggest thing I can tell you is don't skimp on doing your due diligence and research. You can do a lot to learn about the property before you've ever even set foot at the property itself. Calling the city, getting all the municipal fees, back taxes, any fines that have stacked up. Oftentimes these homes have been blighted properties that the city has been trying to handle for quite a while, and those kind of things can really, really amass. Imagine buying a property where the previous owner hadn't paid the water and sewer bill for years, and all of a sudden you bid on it, but now you're responsible above your bid amount for all these kind of expenses. You want to make sure you know what's going on with this property in every which way, and I'm not even talking physically being there, I'm talking about due diligence. So let's talk a little bit about some more of the foreclosure auction myths that we can debunk right now here together. So first of all, you can always buy a property at a low price. That's just not true. There's going to be people that will bid an incredible amount of money on a property that you would probably bid a very, very low in comparison amount of money. And that could be a neighbor that really has a higher value to an abutting neighbor. It could be somebody that's looking to move a relative into their neighborhood. Maybe they own a house down the street. They want to buy their house for their relative. It could be a variety of different things. Somebody that has a different use for it than you might. So you're not always going to get an amazing steal. Maybe the bank puts in a really high reserve type of bid. So don't think every auction is them just giving away houses. Not how it works. The other thing you want to make sure you understand is you don't have to always pay cash. You don't have to have a briefcase full of cash at the auction to buy a house. A lot of people think you actually need cold hard cash in person when you purchase it. Now, it's going to differ from auction to auction, state to state across the country, so there's no one process of how this stuff all works. But generally speaking, you have to close very quickly after you've won the bid. Now, that could be weeks, it could be months. In our case, most of the properties we buy, you're not going to be able to get conventional financing and a regular loan for that property. So we teach a lot about using private money or hard money as a way to close quickly, but without any of your own real actual cash. The last thing people think is you can just show up to an auction, register, and then throw out a bid for a nickel or a penny or $10 or whatever, some insultingly low bid. No, generally speaking, you can't. There's usually a registration process for this stuff. Now, in the registration process, specifically in our area, for instance, you do need to have some money with you so that the idea is they want to screen out shill bidding, fake bidding or nuisance bidding from people that aren't serious and aren't able to perform. So if you bring yourself to an auction and you're ready to bid on a property, in our area, most of the auctions you've seen here on our channel, they're going to have like a $5,000 deposit or registration. Now, if you don't win, you of course don't spend that $5,000, you keep that. But if you do win the bid, that $5,000 does go towards the purchase price of the property. You don't get it back at the time of the auction. So if you're at the auction and you're bidding and you want to win an auction, the most important thing to be successful in doing something like this and buying a house this way is to avoid just costly mistakes. That's going to be through thorough property inspections before you bid. Now, remember, you don't always get to see the inside of these properties. You need to do as much due diligence as you possibly can, but you're, in some cases, really constrained in how you can do that. So thoroughly, as much as you can, as much as you're allowed to, investigate the property. You're going to want to make sure you've got an attorney or you know your legal process in your area. Remember, I can tell you all about my area. It's going to be very different for yours. So learn locally how the laws work for this type of thing. And you want to, of course, weigh out, right, and balance out the risks associated to bidding and buying a foreclosure property. And think about and evaluate what potential downsides are you looking at with this property. And finally, it's really important to understand how to navigate the auction process successfully. Now, one of the things like I talked about earlier in this video, you have to register to bid. Now, in most places, that's going to be the situation. That's going to be different from place to place. But having your auction check ready for your deposit so you can register, it's going to be important. Be ready and able to do that. You want to make sure you're bidding, well, strategically and within, the due diligence process that you've put together. So if you have a rehab budget, you know what the market value of that home is all fixed up, have your formula put together and then stick with that. Don't get all emotional about your bid. Make sure you're bidding, based on facts, not emotion. And then, of course, you want to know how the sale works. If there's any bidding or buyer's premium or any fees to an auction, anything along those lines, and then what the closing process is going to be, perhaps what the timeline is going to be in your area. Again, you want to avoid as many surprises as you can, because when you do this, you're going to have plenty of other surprises anyway. You might as well make sure the things you can control, you do control. I'd love to hear back from you about what you've learned from this video, as well as some of our others, about how foreclosure auctions work and what things you were surprised about when you see how the auction process goes. If you're interested in buying a home, feel free to jump in and interact with us here on this channel. Let us know how we can answer maybe some of your questions, clear up any of your confusion, so you can hit the ground running on your path to financial success. And of course, if you haven't gotten enough out of this and want to learn a lot more, well, we'd love it if you supported our channel and furthered your learning by buying a copy of our book, Foreclosures Unlocked.